you see that in there? Hey, okay. So this is like my first real 3D project, like ever. No one would understand what this process is unless I show you, and so that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to link to the actual music video. I'm not going to play the audio from that because the day it released, I tried making a TikTok video and it already got flagged. So we're going to avoid the copyright strike and just use some generic music I made on my phone. The main ingredient, as always, for me is the music, and I'm just going to pull up in Reaper here for a sec. And let's see, I just hacked apart a different project. This is actually just repurposed from the last music video I did for him. So basically have these tracks. I think I'm only using like 6 inputs in TouchDesigner, and I will get this playing. Hopefully it's not too loud, but you'll see we've got, this is just the audio so we can hear it. Everything else is not routed to the output in Reaper. And this is all basically just synth multitrack that I put together in an afternoon. And this is going to be my sizzle and my snare, using one of the synths for the vocals, although I guess maybe we could, maybe we can use this. What's that going to look like in TouchDesigner? Let's see. Yeah, so now we're seeing my vocals in TouchDesigner, and yeah, you can see one of the things here in this project is that the volume should make the mouth jiggle and swell. Yeah. All right, so let's do a big old overview. First things first is I made this new component that I'm still kind of fleshing out, but it's called adaptive triggers, and they are meant to just auto threshold to a degree. It's not perfect. It's barely a science, but let's play some music and you'll see these things working. And I'm getting I created 4 outputs for these. That's pretty loud, isn't it? Oh, maybe not. So you can already see this thing going to work. I made this, I'm not necessarily using all this, but it just has a trigger component that is just 0 to 1 on off. One that's got a little bit more of a roll off on it. Speed, which is gonna just kind of like zigzag over what you want. To kind of just give a range of values after the fact, and then a combination that's just a more dynamic value from the same source. And yeah, I guess if we dig into this, it's really just analyzing, averaging, and then you can see this trigger point is floating because I'm analyzing not just the moment but a specified window. So and then this up here is just if it drops below a noise threshold and it's not counting any more peaks in that range, it just switches to something that doesn't let the triggers through. Not too crazy, but didn't see that in the world, so that was my first little innovation here. Guess we'll look at the bigger system. We'll start at the end, which was the 3D world, which took a long time to figure out. I definitely was inspired by another one of Electronauts tutorials about like an endless world, and it's like, oh, maybe this is enough for me to kind of make my own system. So it is basically an endless scrolling, endless runner. Okay, this music definitely changed the feel of that jumping in and out thing, but so yeah, we've got these face and body components. This mask was like 3 days of figuring out how to compile. It's like some open source thing. There's some documentation on the TouchDesigner documentation, but it's open source, but not the model itself is not available. You have to figure out how to compile it. Really fun stuff. We'll get to the mask in a second, and then there's just this. I guess I was using that for the tongue because it's hollow and the mouth never closes. You see that in there? And then, yeah, there's my dumb body and my dumb arms, which all this stuff is audio reactive. I try to make these things that like don't do very much without audio. But yeah, this is kind of fun. There's just a couple rectangles with some chops telling them how to animate. Basically counting 0, 1, 0, 1. And yeah, it's just using kick and snare, I guess. I guess they just like go sideways if there's like no snare for a while. So if they like run out of these and the arms drop to the sides, kind of. I couldn't even figure out how to do legs that weren't going to be even more ridiculous. This was ridiculous enough. So yeah, using just video effects, 2D stuff for textures, some reaction diffusion there, and let's see, that's pretty much the pieces of the body. And yeah, dumb floor, these dumb billboards, the sky is kind of cool. That was just a reimagining of different feedback displays thing. I made all the textures just simple stable diffusion elements. I guess we can go look at that. So yeah, this is kind of fun. Yeah, you can see at one point I was cleaning this up, and at another point I just made it and never came back. So yeah, you've got the face is all made up of individual parts. I kind of wish I could have gone back and made more. I kind of just made test assets and then had so many things to learn that I never came back to them. But so yeah, here's like all the different animations, and they are just so this is just like a folder. It's got 3 animations in it to switch from, and it's probably just counting a certain amount of kicks or whatever, and then it's going to pick a new one, and using a lag to kind of just animate a certain amount of frames, so it kind of like speeds up, slows down. And so then I guess I go over here and start putting them on the mask. And so yeah, these are just selects pulling in the pieces and then comping them together until we get this monstrosity. Yeah, and so it's using audio and a little bit of random logic to pull in the different things, and then it's I basically was messing with this while I was looking at the mask at the same time. So, and then started doing this feedback on it, and I guess I have a couple versions of that. This is probably not even getting used anymore. And then that's going into the world. And then I have just some text 3D for like all of the kind of blocky textures in the world, just kind of using another animation and pulling different frames from it. Like not every single frame. It's like I don't think any of this is actually playing like this anymore. So there's a lot of, that's where I could optimize if I didn't have to just wrap this up. And yeah, like that's kind of it. Not really at all, but as an overview, that's kind of it. Oh, my favorite thing I figured out was this camera blend. So you basically pipe in all of these different kind of preset cameras, and some of them are static and some of them are kind of floating around. Some of them you can't see what it is because the view is just these other cameras, which if anybody knows how to toggle that on and off, that'd be cool to know. So yeah, this is, so like again, all this is kind of there's all the audio coming in, and for the cameras it's actually just taking everything, which I had to dial down a little bit. Okay, just seeing where that camera's at. And then I basically have a speed that's 0 to the amount of cameras in the scene. So we got 8 cameras, and then the audio is just kind of like pushing towards the next one, and the camera blend is doing everything. And you'll see right now it's vertical. I was like, well, how hard is it going to be to go from a vertical to a widescreen to a vertical? And it's literally just changing horizontal to vertical POV and messing with the view angle, and had to tweak cameras a little bit, but that was way easier than I could have expected. Yeah, and there's a couple lights. I put one off to the side just so that some of these passing things would be like creating dynamic, at least darkness on the character. The floor is kind of shitty, but I just spent a lot of time on it and couldn't make it very good, but it's at least kind of like generative. It's just basically taking rectangles and twisting them and feedback, and so it's flushing it out, giving it some textured surface. It's really flat and boring, and probably way more resource intensive for what I'm getting out of it, but whatever. So yeah, it's all 3D instancing. It's all just going towards the background to a point and then repopulating on the other end. These dumb billboards, I mean, I should have spaced them out a little bit more. The landscape is like the laziest thing. It looks kind of bad in this version, but it also, I mean, there's so much going on. It's like, I was like trying to get fog. I guess apparently like fog and a camera blend wasn't really working. If I do this again, I would have spent a little more time, like maybe making, rather than a flat surface, like have it kind of curve backwards a little bit to help disappear over the horizon. But next time. There is, oh yeah, the sky. That was actually the better of the generative assets that I made. Where does that live? Landscape, base body, floor, pillars, walls. think this is... Okay, so yeah, that's the original one. There's my sky. Yeah, here's another folder switcher. So... Oh yeah, I forgot about this too. My auto level, it's like it's basically just a bit of contrast and just a bit of punch. It seems to work kind of good with maybe some bloom in there. How was I doing this? Smashing the image, analyzing the minimum, maximum, and the average. Kind of similar to what I was doing with the audio, but creating some floating values for this. This did not need it. I think I just built it and shoehorned it in there, but whatever. Oh yeah, put some bloom in there. This is probably just an average, yeah. So yeah, I'm pulling just 2 of these Stable Diffusion images at random, and then I think cycling 1 out at a time once it's faded to the other. And then tiled a couple times. Since it's like the sky, you never really like one image, it just looked like a stretched image. And then, I mean, I tried making a dome, but it was not, did not look good, and it did not run very well. So I really just took a big flat plane and tilted it towards the camera. So that's the advanced geometry going on there. Yep, that's what that looks like. And yeah, and then it's just getting displaced by this other already displaced system that I think was inspired by a couple other tutorials. But yeah, so you get this like glitched out rolling sky. That's kind of a combination of the 2 outputs. Yeah, I don't know. Look cool. Kind of wish I would have gotten some effect like that on everything, but whatever. The face is kind of the best part, though. It's got a lot of just interesting possibilities with just a couple of animations. And so yeah, you see the parts kind of switching out. Once I went from flat, once I introduced the lighting, I don't know, it was like it all started to gel. But yeah, this is kind of a fun experiment for just trying to figure out how 3D even works. And yeah, I don't know if there's anything in here I really need to go into further. I mean, as far as like an overview, there's a lot of these systems, but if you've got a sense of how I do audio-reactive stuff, basically everything has some audio-reactive element, and yeah, I mean, some of it's going to be more subtle than other stuff, but like that, like kind of jumping forward with the kick and the snare and those arms, it's like that's enough to make it seem like audio-reactive. And I can't imagine keyframing this. Would it be as good? Would it be more interesting? I don't know. But I'd much rather at this point just spend 30 hours or more building something kind of crazy like this, and then pressing play on these tracks, and pressing record over here. Find your in and out of a good take and say, here you go, world. It's great, right? I guess I can show you, yeah, with like the original video performance. I guess that's one other thing in Reaper here. So I was using reroute channel 13, which like didn't really have an instrument associated with it, and I think I just sampled or like basically use a MIDI tone generator or something. Yeah, just something to go beep. And then I used a trigger in TouchDesigner to like restart the network. And you know, since it's like face tracking for a video file that I recorded in my basement, it would restart to the sync point. And that's a weird, also non-traditional way of doing things as far as I can tell. Usually, it's like most videos aren't one take, and most music videos also aren't relying on the original audio to get that one take. And if there's that many of those out there, they're probably not also creating triggers for switching information inside of the DAW for the visual effects. Probably not. It's a non-traditional way to go, but it's actually super easy. Super easy. So I think I could even show you, this is like the basis of that. I've got audio device in, yep, reroute 13. Okay, and here's the video file. I'll switch this over to CASS because you've seen enough of my face already today. Let me start this track over, and you'll see, oh, there's a trigger, and then it starts over. Oh, did that work? Yep. So yeah, it's I've got this trigger. I mean, this is probably not even the best way to be doing this. Don't know why was I doing this? This is probably just the first thing that worked. So how does this work? I'm sorry. This is a trigger. No, it's a count. Oh, and then okay, I guess this is just to like pulse and reload the file. Whatever. It works. It worked every time. So, whatever. Anyways, that's the basis of it. I think that could be improved. Maybe I'll get around to releasing these. I want to test them. I'm still tweaking them, or at least have enough controls to be able to fix shit without diving in. But I also tried to tune these a little bit more for the music that's coming in. Yeah, for like my bass and drum ones, I was actually tracking pitch, not perfectly, but just giving you kind of a up and down and bass reference. Apparently not for the guitars though. I don't know. I forget what I'm doing as soon as I'm done doing it, and just hope I got far enough to rely on it when it come back around. Anyways, so that's that. What else? Anything else super interesting in here? What is this for? I guess that's for some large number that I needed. It's another fake trigger. I mean, this is hilarious. I'm like averaging this one with this one to get these. What is that? I guess, yeah, averaging 0, that doesn't make any sense. But you know what, like when you just get, I mean, I think this stuff through so far as the point where it's like I'm seeing what I want to see, and so once I'm there, it's like the perfection of the math or whatever is not the point. Where is that even going? It might not even be used. As I like trying to go back at this and look at what I had built, I mean, there's something that is not plugged into anything and not referenced anywhere. So yeah, here's another one. So anyways, that's that. Hope you enjoy.